The Blackhawks are in Montreal to face the Canadiens to shake off the tough loss to the Maple Leafs. Let's hope for 60 good minutes. We'll preview the game next on CHGO Blackhawks. Welcome into the CHGO Blackhawks pregame podcast presented by Bet365. Download the Bet365 app. Use our code CHGO365 when you sign up. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Welcome in. I'm Jay Zawaski. That's Mario Tirabassi. Chloe Thiel's here running the show. As always, do us a favor, hit that like button for us, and be sure to subscribe to our YouTube page. And remember, as soon as the game's over, we will be back in these very seats breaking down, hopefully, a Hawks win over Montreal.
I'm just reacting to Matticus's chat in the chat talking about that is noted hockey noob John Butchergross.
Yes.
Mispronouncing Connor Bedard's name on the ESPN broadcast, which tonight, thankfully, is not.
In fairness, Brian Berard did retire only 17 years ago. And I know there's a Rangers Berard, but
there is.
He's not mixing him. Whatever. We all have plenty of games to complain about ESPN. Tonight, we're going to complain about the Blackhawks. No, we've got some new power play units, and I think this is we're going to hear from Jeff Blashill here momentarily. He talks about the thought process behind them. He talks a little bit about Artem Levshinov's benching. He is back tonight, and really reflects nicely on the Toronto game. So lots of good stuff from Jeff Blashill. Stay tuned. But here are your new power play units, and I'm not going to rank them because they're not ranked. It's Colton Dock, Ryan Donato, Tyler Bertuzzi, Andre Burakovsky, and Matt Grzelcyk. That's one unit.
Power play unit red and power play unit white.
There we go. And Ryan Green, Teuvo Teravainen, Nick Lardis, Frank Nazar, and Artem Levshinov, the other. So let's go right to Jeff Blashill. He explains his mindset on the power play units and much more. This courtesy of your beloved Chicago Blackhawks.
Like the power play units have been switched up. Interesting combinations. What are you hoping?
Ultimately, get two units that are both very, very capable. That I decide which one I want to put out based on, performance in practice, performance in games, how guys are playing 5-on-5. Try to get guys' hands in the right spot so that you kind of have, options when you put power plays together. Sometimes there's certain guys that you just want on it, and you kind of force their hands. This way we can kind of work the hands the way we want them. Righties and lefties, get guys in spots that they're most comfortable in. So we'll see how it goes.
Is Levshinov out tonight?
Levshinov is in the lineup tonight.
Coach, hockey people most of the time said that you have to be patient with big and tall defensemen like Crevier. Mm-hmm. Do you think that was a secret? Be patient with him, and now he's a good contributor for your team.
Yeah, I think I'm probably a benefactor of that. He's somebody coming into the year we didn't know what step he'd take. I think he's taken a really big step, and I just on the playing against him last year, I saw this really, really big guy who seemed to move pretty well, and I think his movement's gotten better and better. Even I think to your point with big players, a lot of times the fluidity of which they move gets better as they get a little bit older, and I think that's certainly been the case with him. And so he's 6'8" or whatever he is. He's I think his feet are really good for that size. He's smart defensively, and I think what he's done is he's gained poise with the puck. I think he's realized that he has a extra split second because of the size of his body to make sure that he makes the right play with the puck as much as possible. And that right play might still be a hard play, but it's allowed him that extra split second to go tape to tape. And now you become a really, I think, important player.
You think that the time in the AHL for those kids, those big kids, paid a lot?
Yeah, I mean, I think, the AHL is a great learning league, and it's hard to kind of learn on the fly in the NHL. It really is, and sometimes you're into those situations like we are, probably like Montreal's been, where guys get their opportunity earlier in the NHL than maybe what the plan was. But with him, certainly it just allows you to kind of be in a league where you're not just surviving, and I think that's the biggest thing, is trying to learn and those opportunities to thrive. So credit to him. He's done a really good job. He works hard. He's a great. He's physically unbelievably fit, and he's made himself, I think, an important player in this league.
Are you impressed also with his skill sets? Like 3 goals this year, 9 passes, +3. Like he can do a lot of things.
Yeah, he is. Obviously the shorthanded goal might not be a regular occurrence, but he might find his way to the shootout after that move for sure.
Where is he on your list?
Yeah, well, he moved up. I can tell you that. I can tell you, our shootouts haven't been great. So, but he's got a really, really hard shot, and so whether it's from scoring or just creating havoc with the shot, he can do that because it's a really, really hard shot. So he's got a lot of skills, tools in his skill set to be really, really good, and he's been a good player for us.
Good to see Nick Foligno out there at the end. Can you update him?
It's still day to day in the sense that he's not going to play tonight, and I don't know on Ottawa yet. I think we'll know more on Ottawa tomorrow. He's itching to get back in. We're itching to have him back in, but until he's fully ready to go, we're not going to put him in. So he won't play tonight. I'll know more tomorrow about Ottawa.
Have you had a line in the past as young as that, the Green Line? And I guess they were talking about just how comfortable they are with each other and the communication, where the dynamic is so unique with a group that.
I mean, they're as young probably as any line I've had in the NHL. I've had a line that was in college or junior, maybe. So yeah, they're a young line, and one of the reasons we put them together is because I do think there's a certain comfort level, and playing with guys kind of your own age. They've played together at different times, rookie tournament, American League, and not necessarily as a group of 3 always, but they're very familiar with each other. So I think they overall, they've done a good job. Like I said, the first period against Detroit, I thought they were our best line, certainly offensively. They're still growing and learning, but so is our whole team. So they're going to make mistakes just like everybody else, and hopefully we can continue to grow and learn from them.
Was that one of your hardest matchup games in Toronto?
That I worked for the match? Yeah, yes, we worked for the match pretty hard there. It's just something I think part of what our identity has to be over the next few weeks here with Connor out is continuing to grow our defensive game. We have to be a team that is really, really good defensively, which I think is a positive for us long term, because that needed to grow anyways. And so to that end, I think having a line that can go out and play against the other team's best is important. And I think when you have that purpose as a line, I think sometimes you play better. And I thought Dickinson's line was excellent the other night overall.
Who's the youngest line in the NHL? Brian Green was saying, every time 34 on ice, we had to be sharp because we had to get off.
Yeah. Sometimes. Yeah, we don't do that all the time, but it's something. We haven't done it a lot this year, but it's something. Honestly, something that I think John Cooper's very good at. That I learned a little bit from him and some of the techniques of how he does it, and something that we'll utilize at different times. Whether we do it tonight or not, we'll see. But something that we utilize at different times.
With Whitekaiser, do you have an identity, I guess, a vision for what he can be?
Yeah, what I would say is, without putting a ceiling on him, because he's still a really young player, he's a guy that I think can be a great defender who can also add offensively, certainly through moving the puck, certainly through that. I thought he was excellent last game. I thought it was one of his better games. I think the balance for him is just learning to have that poise with the puck, to get it, put himself in position to move it to our forwards without overdoing it, meaning when he's under heavy pressure, sometimes you have to punt. And that's been probably the learning thing for him. But I thought the other night he did an excellent job of that.
But in terms of just responding from Toronto, how do you feel like guys handled it the past 36 hours mentally, bouncing back?
As far as I can tell, they handled it well. But we'll know more when we lace them up tonight. At the end of the day, like I said to the guys after the game, was it a gut punch? 100%, because we had played such a good hockey game for so long and then didn't get rewarded. But that's life, and there's nothing we can do to go back and change anything that happened. You can't. All you can do is learn from it and move on to the next. And if we play with that same kind of, it's probably our best defensive game of the year. I've been told that from a number of people. And if we play that same way, you put yourself in position to win a lot of hockey games. And I think had we played that way, in the game against St. Louis, I think we win the game. So those kind of things, it's important to continue to learn and grow from.
You talk about learn from it, but what do you think it is that they can learn from those last 10 minutes?
Honestly, it's an interesting thing because it wasn't. Sometimes you start to really just get leaned on and play bad, and we had a fate. We made a little mistake to cause us to have a D zone face off. They score. Okay, so after that, I thought we played really good for the next 6 or 7 minutes. So it wasn't like it didn't feel like an onslaught or anything like that. We took a poor penalty. Can't take a penalty at that point. They score on the power play. That happens sometimes. And then it was like a quick face-off, and next thing you know, it happened. So it wasn't, there's times where I think you can learn how to play with the lead, and that's like not sitting back too much and all those things. But I didn't think we did that. I think we still played really good hockey after it went 2-1. I think the learning is more just within our game, continuing to grow, continue to do the things we did well, we emphasize those things, and then also continue to grow in the things that we have to grow at. And, there's mistakes, and when you make mistakes, you learn from them. So we'll continue to try to learn from those mistakes.
Have you been happy with going back to 12 and 6, like the rhythm, or has it been different?
No, there's advantages both ways, and I've been good with 12 and 6, but I was good with 11 and 7. So I don't think it's necessarily, to me, it's more personnel based than it is, strategically based. I think either one we can manage. I thought our guys did an excellent job of managing the 11 and 7 for that period of time. But now with the 6 we have, I kind of feel more comfortable with that 12 and 6.
All right, that's Jeff Blashill, courtesy of the Blackhawks. We thank them, as always, for use of the video. And if you didn't catch it, by the way, every shift, the new one dropped last night. Mm-hmm. Lots of CHGO in there. Just reminded me about that, so go check that out.
Yeah.
His explanation of the Toronto loss, as frustrating as it was, is kind of correct. I don't want to really dwell on that game. We've turned a page, but he's like, you give up one through traffic, you give up a power play goal to Austin Matthews, those things happen, and then a bad bounce, and you end up losing the game. But overall, he was happy with the performance. And I think after the game against Toronto, we basically said, if we play that way most nights, we're going to win. I do agree with that. And I hope that the result of that game doesn't make them stray from that approach tonight against Montreal.
Yeah. The 50 minutes that they were outplaying the Leafs and outscoring them, they were really good. It's just the way that the game collapsed, you want to try and avoid that. I think if you come out with the same jump in the first period against Montreal, yeah, I mean you're going to be in for a game, and I think that's going to be the biggest thing tonight is like shaking off the shock value of how that Toronto game ended. And they had a day off in practice yesterday, so you'd imagine they're fresh, they're on the road, they're feeling as good as they can, and you try and come into it with a clean slate tonight. And Montreal has been pretty rough in net this season, so whether it's I think it's Dobes is the, or Dobbs or Dobes, I forget how to say his name.
Roads.
Dobes.
Doobies.
He's a starter tonight, and he was off to a hot start, and he's kind of crashed down. So maybe this is an opportunity to take advantage of some shaky goaltending.
Yes, that would be good. Here are the lines for tonight's game. Nazar centering Bertuzzi, Burakovsky, Dickinson, Teravainen, Mikheyev, Green, Moore, Lardis. Excited about that one.
Yep.
Toninato, Doc, and Donato. Vlasic, Crevier, Grzelcyk, Levshinov, Kaiser, Murphy, and Spencer Knight gets the start in goal. So that is a fast third line.
Yeah,
it
should be. Yeah, I think looking at this game, Montreal is a team that's in the playoff fight. They're a team that we looked at how they progressed last season, and they were a team that you looked at and you're like, oh, that's a model of what the Blackhawks could do over the next year or two, where they have that young group kind of getting their NHL legs, and then they push. And now you're going up against them, and it's a bit of a litmus test where you're at. And obviously you're without Connor Bedard, so it changes the makeup of things. But this is still a team that this is an opponent you can get a win over, and you're still looking for the guy that is. I know we keep talking about it has to be a group effort to replace what you lose with Connor Bedard, but it's got to start with somebody. Like it has to start with someone stepping up.
Shooting the puck.
That does help. Yeah. Shooting the puck usually leads to scoring goals. But yeah, I mean, if it's Frank Nazar, who it would really be nice for him to break that goalless drought. 21 games, is it?
I think it's 22 now.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
That'd be nice for him to break it, or it's Burakovsky, or, we saw Jason Dickinson get a shorthanded goal. We saw Wyatt Kaiser score a goal shooting with traffic. Like, it's not going to be pretty, but you need someone to start it off. And this is just an opportunity for someone to take advantage of that. We've been without Bedard for Detroit and Toronto, so now you got to figure it out. Like you can't keep going along this season without Bedard and still looking for someone's got to pull up their pants and
their big boy pants.
Take a little bit of control. It's not selfish to try and score goals. It's not selfish to try and be the one that's gonna be the driving force.
Well, this is where, and we mentioned this in the postgame too, like this is where you would like to see the veterans on this team do it.
Mm-hmm.
Sort of say, all right, you know what, follow us. Like, I know we're going through a hard time right now, but hey, I'm Andre Burakovsky. I've won 2 Stanley Cups with 2 different teams. I've been through it. Let's go. I'm Tyler Bertuzzi. I've been all around this league on good teams, on bad teams. I've seen this before. Let's go. Tavo, I was on 2 really good franchises before I joined the Hawks for the second time, with the Dynasty Hawks and the Carolina Hurricanes. Let's go. This is how it's done. Instead, I feel like it's too often that the young players are the ones who are doing the things that we're happy about for the most part, and then it's the veterans that are letting things down. So I want to see them. And look, I know 3 of your more dependable veterans, Dickinson, Teravainen, and Mikheyev, are a line that are primarily being tasked with defending. But as you saw for 50 minutes against Toronto, that strong defense leads to offense. It's something that Blashill's been preaching all year. And if all right, no, I'm not going to say it. There is no silver lining to Connor Bedard being out. There's none. But one thing that Blashill has been a little bit frustrated with all year is that the defensive game gets away from them too often. Without Bedard, they're sort of forced to play that game, to stay in the game, to stay competitive, all those sort of things. Perhaps when he comes back, they've got 2 or 3 weeks of this hockey under their belts, and it becomes a little more second nature. And then you have maybe something closer to the fully realized vision that Jeff Blashill has for this team in terms of game-to-game approach and strategy.
Yeah, if someone can, if you can get a few guys to kind of take their game to another level with Bedard out, then when, like you said, like when he comes back, then you have players that are playing in different roles or different opportunities, or with more confidence that they hadn't been before. You'd love to see that be the case, and then when Bedard comes back, you're only adding to hopefully what the Blackhawks could generate, rather than having to add Bedard back in and be like, okay, Connor, you're coming back from injury, everything's back on you now. Like it'd be nice to have some players go from supplemental roles to more primary roles. So hopefully that's the case. This is another opportunity where you have the chance for someone to, or someone's, multiple guys can do it at the same time. That's fine. Step up and do that, because the Detroit game that still could have been a game that you could have won. I wasn't entirely scared of Detroit without Connor Bedard, even though they are, leading their division and everything. And the Toronto game too was, again, as we talked about in that post-game show, that was a team that was on the edge of like a complete breakdown. Like Craig, if they had won that game, Craig Berube could have been fired yesterday.
Yes.
Like that could have been the case. So now this is a Montreal team that is still like, maybe matchup for matchup on paper, player for player without Connor Bedard, they're still favored, but it's not a crazy gap between the two teams tonight.
No, it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. By the way, one thing I noticed, because hearing Jeff Blashill in the pregame show is the second time I heard it today. I usually listen on my way in to make sure I'm a little more focused instead of doing show stuff. I don't know if anyone else noticed this, but kind of I feel like every time he's talked about Connor Bedard, he's been doing it in the context of it's a question about his health, and he's been very guarded, not being very specific, just kind of saying like it is a shoulder, or it's an upper body injury. We're going to reevaluate in a new year. He said in the pregame presser, basically like, we're going to be without Connor for 3 weeks. So he just kind of like off the cuff said 3 weeks.
Well, I mean, they said or they said in the new year is going to reevaluate.
But my fear was, I had a little bit of fear that they're just moving the goalposts and saying, like, we know it's going to be longer than the new year, but let's just say the new year. And then when a new year comes, we'll push it down more. Just like Laurent Brossoit was going to miss 3 weeks with Luke Richardson. And 3 weeks became 18 months.
Yeah.
I feel like based on just the way Blashill's talking and just kind of the vibe around the Bedard injury, that it is going to be closer to an actual 3 weeks than
that would be
we
nice.
had feared probably.
Yeah.
So that's just a little something I noticed in that thing. One more thing you said too is, you want to find guys that can elevate their game. I don't even know it'd be great if they do, but you just want these guys to play to the back of their cards. Like Nazar, Burakovsky, like those guys that have been in the Nazar shorter sample size, obviously, but just start producing as you're expected to produce. I don't think anyone's asking any of these guys to go become a 50 goal scorer, Andre Burakovsky,
right,
but
no.
Be dangerous every night. Be a threat most shifts. Jeff Blashill says all the time, like sometimes it's just not there and you just got to dump it in and change and win to fight another day. But more often than not, when number 28's on the ice, I want him looking dangerous. I want him looking threatening. Same thing for Tirabassi, same thing for Mikheyev and Bertuzzi and Frank Nazar, frankly. Like I want to see these guys be the guys they're being paid to be. And if they're even that, it should be enough to keep this team afloat through Bedard's absence. They got 7. If it is he's back after the new year, it would be 6 more games. To this and 5 more. If they win 3 of the games that in all the games he missed, that feels like a big win, and it's not impossible. I don't know. I just want these guys to perform up to the level that we've seen them perform before. Yeah. No one has to reinvent themselves and be Superman.
Yeah, I mean it's an opportunity to not only do it without Bedard, so that they can have that extra motivation to try and find that extra level, because they know he's not going to be there to bail them out or be the one that the puck is going to be on his stick in a clutch moment. It's going to have to be somebody else. But two, like just outside of having to step up for Bedard, like you got to step up for the team too. Like they've dropped 4 of their last 5.
Yeah.
Like, and some of them in dramatic fashion to, the tune of being, waxed by the Kings and the Ducks 6-0 and 7-1. And then you get kind of a game that you feel like, oh, maybe we've, you can right that ship with a win over the Rangers. And then you have a couple other stinkers, and then you lose Bedard, and then you lose in the fashion you did to Detroit and Toronto. And it's just like, you need to have a game where you just feel like, okay, like if it's a Nazar goal and you get, some other guy, maybe Nick Lardis gets his first point of the season or something like that, like some good vibes going that you can carry through this game that can kind of snap this funk that they've been in. And I still tend to believe that the way that this has gone is a bit more of a downswing and not a crash to quote unquote reality. Because we've seen them play higher level hockey than anyone's expected, and it was more than just the first 5 games of the season.
Right.
Like it was basically up until like game 25 or 26 of the season where you're like, this feels like this is the identity of this team, and you've seen really good performances strung together, or enough of them to be like, yeah, that's definitely like the way that they can play, given, the guys lock in and you have enough players playing their A game at the same time. It doesn't have to be all 19 guys at once, but you don't want more than half of your roster having an off night. So having some more of those guys be able to kind of, as you're saying, play to the back of their car, be able to kind of like lock in and be the player you expect them to be, at least, like that can get this team out of this swing.
You're right. And I think, a lot of people were, as this downswing was happening, like, see, back to reality. Like, I really don't think that this roster, even without Bedard is significantly worse. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But this is not the team of the last 2-3 years. They're just not. And like you said, it wasn't just a good 5-game start and then everything fell to crap, or someone was on an astronomical, unsustainable pace.
Right.
Connor Bedard was on a great pace, but that has been the expectation for Connor Bedard for 3 years.
And he
got there.
Yeah.
And just, whether you're an analytics person or an eye test person, if you thought that the Hawks were just PDO monsters early in the year and it was unsustainable, the luck's kind of swung the other way in that regard now, where they're getting shut out a lot. And Frank Nazar is getting shots on goal, but they're not going in. Like, eventually that's got to correct a little bit too, and the upswing is going to come. Just watching this team play, we know they are better than they've been over the last 3 years, and they seem to believe it. We've heard them say it. A lot was made after the interview against the Blues, which was early in the year, but hey, we want to win now. We think we're good now. We have good feelings about our team right now. I don't think that's changed. So now it's time for them to put up. Like, I know it's a young team. I know. But you've got most of your young forwards on one line together in Green and Moore and Lardis. Doc has seen a lot of NHL time, a lot of AHL time. Nazar is now, over a full year of NHL experience, over 82 games in his career. Crevier's been in the NHL for a few years. Of course, Levshinov young, but like, just bear down and trust your coaching staff. Trust what you're being taught. Trust what has worked for you. Because when they do play the game they're coached to play, they're in the games all the time. Even against some of the, just look at that Colorado game. Colorado has been annihilating everyone. What are they, plus 56 in goal differential or something insane?
Yeah.
They beat the Hawks 1-0 on a weird play from Spencer Knight that went to Cale Makar that snuck through his arm. Like, they can hang with the best teams in the league when they play that way. And we saw it for 50 freaking minutes against Toronto, and they just couldn't hold it down. So it's there. They're capable of it, even without Connor Bedard. I want to see them if they play that way tonight, though, you really want to see them get rewarded for it.
Yeah.
And get those 2 points. They're going to be essential.
Yeah. I don't want to come away from this game with another performance where you're saying like, well, if we play that way against most teams, well, this is one of those teams where if you play that way, you should be able to get a win. Over the last 10 games, these teams are basically identical in their analytics. So I know you're without Connor Bedard, but this is a game that you can capitalize on.
This, as we were looking through the schedule, this felt like a soft spot, right? Rangers, Blues, Wings, Leafs.
About a week and a half ago,
yeah. Montreal. It was like, all right, this is one of these runs where you can get a little bit healthy,
or at least you felt that way,
right?
Yeah.
And it just hasn't been the case. And yes, of course, Bedard's absence has been a big part of it. But let's get some results. It's time to get some results because someone in the chat earlier said, "I'm tired of excuses. They've been doing this for the last 2 years," and I understand the fatigue of watching your favorite team lose night after night after night. Of course, 100%. But I feel like this team is different. You also have to look at the last two in the context of a rebuild, so those things are going to happen. But you're right. Like, excuse time is kind of, they know what they have to do now.
Mm-hmm.
You're almost halfway through the season. You've been coached hard. You've been coached clearly. That's the one thing they all say about Jeff Blashill is, we know exactly what he expects. Great. Go do it.
Yep.
There's nothing complicated about Jeff Blashill's system. Go execute it, get 2 points, and head to Ottawa. All right.
Sounds good.
Yes, we will talk to you after the game wraps up. If you've not hit the like button yet, please do so. We would appreciate that big time. And subscribe to our YouTube page. We'll be back as soon as the game ends right here on CHGO Blackhawks.
We all silly like the mayor.